I was listening to a podcast about G.K. Chesterton today, and they were talking about tradition is the democracy of the dead, because the dead get a voice, the dead get a vote. It's very like on how we conduct ourselves, how we do church, how we live. You know, if you're borrowing from tradition, then you're giving the dead a vote. It's very interesting. Merry Christmas. Welcome to City Square Podcast, where we talk to everyday people about faith and work. We are your hosts, Micah and Jon, and this episode we're talking about all things Christmas, and also Advent, and maybe some Epiphany. So while you're here, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We post a lot of interviews. We do Q&As where we give our uneducated opinions on things. So if you are enjoying our content, then please like the video and share it with somebody who might be interested in it. And this is your comment instruction for this episode. Tell us your favorite Christmas tradition. What is your favorite thing that you do or your family does or has done in the past? So comment below and let us know. So Jon, what's your favorite time of year? And
my favorite time of year, man? So, it actually is more or less in a sense Christmas or Christmas-ish. My favorite time of year is winter, at least when I have a winter to celebrate. And so that does also kind of include Christmas. But it's just seems to be a kind of like I guess sometimes it kind of depends on like your friends, your family, and like what kind of community you have. But I mean, around Christmas, man, people almost generally speaking, no matter who they are, what their background is, tend to be just a little bit more enjoyable to be around when it comes to Christmas, right? And so people just tend to be a lot more fun to be around, a bit more enjoyable. People have a tendency to be a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit, like more generous. People enjoy being at parties and get-togethers and have fun, and they like to dress silly, give gifts, make good food, and take a little extra time to do things that were special like they did before. And so, in addition, over the past few years, I mean, we've started celebrating more Advent and being more thoughtful and intentional with how we care about the season. And so that's also fun as well. And so getting to make a season out of the celebration as opposed to just focusing on one day, which is probably generally more consumeristic. It's a lot more fun. What about you?
Well, yeah, I would say Christmas time is my favorite time of year. Growing up, that was December 1st through, the first few weeks of January.
Okay.
That was kind of how we celebrated Christmas. We had no idea about Advent or anything like that, like anything about the historical church year.
So what was the reason for why y'all did it the way y'all did?
Well, I mean, it was Christmas time. I don't know if there was a particular reason, but usually we put up the tree on December 1st. That was when that kind of marked the beginning of the Christmas season for our family anyway. And in a lot of churches, especially small ones, I imagine, large ones, they have like the major productions, Christmas plays and that sort of thing. Small ones we usually do as well, right? But you're starting those preparations in October, November, probably October, realistically.
Did you hear about that church? Did you hear about that church down the street from you that was getting some flack for their church celebration this year?
Yeah, I'm not really sure why they're getting flack this year. They've been doing that for 25 years.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of what
I've been to one of their shows. Like it's a massive like I've been to one of their shows. It's like a massive. This whole section is just gonna be a mess. But yeah, they do this massive like Broadway, almost Broadway level production, right? Half of it's like Santa and the elves and North Pole and a good moral lesson learned by some child. And the other half is like the Christmas story. It's like this big 2.5 hour thing. And it's not my thing.
Yeah.
It's a cool show. It's not church, it's, so there's people who take issue with it, from one side of things, meaning we shouldn't make the birth of Christ into this massive commercial production. But as far as I know, they're not actually making money on it, even though they charge for the tickets. But the amount of time and, equipment and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It costs a lot to put that show on. The tickets are pretty reasonable for that level of production. So if you want to see something that massive and that huge, then it's pretty cool. If you're going there looking for the meaning of the season, the mileage may vary. They're a Baptist church, right? So they have, and they're not Calvinistic or in any sense. So it's very much, you want to pray this prayer with us at the end, there's an invitation, there's an altar call, so to speak. So yeah, different people have different issues with it for different reasons. Some of them are silly. Some of them, might be theological in nature. Others are just people wanting to crap on Christians, So I don't really have a bone in the fight or a dog in the fight.
It just came across I came across the other day for some reason. And so I was just part of my first reaction was, this has been going on for years. Why all of a sudden is it a big deal? When it wasn't before.
Yeah, I can't remember the year we went. It was either, I want to say it might have been 2019 or something like that. 2020. I'm not sure. No, it wasn't 2020. So I don't remember exactly the year we went. We went once. And it was, take it outside the church building. It's a pretty cool show. But yeah, that's, I never did anything on that scale when I was, growing up. The church and the church that was part of the college and church combo that I went to, for, Bible college, they did a pretty big Christmas play. And they had, enough people around, and they had decent production values, and, it's a big evangelistic outreach, right? That's the reason that people are doing. So that's something I'm kind of used to, or at least used to be. I don't know, like some of that's kind of corny, but some of it's great. Why shouldn't we celebrate, the time of year? So, Advent, though, is supposed to be a much more somber time, where we're supposed to have that yearning or that groaning, that kind of recognizing the troubled nature of the world,
right.
And longing for his coming, right? For us, it's the second coming, the reminders of the first reminder of the incarnation, and looking forward to that, but also, in anticipation that he will come again. Mill gang. Mill gang. So, but what's interesting though to me is actually trying to reorient my schedule in life slowly, because I can't make these changes all at once, but trying to reorient my schedule in life around the season of Advent, and then realizing that Christmas starts on December 25th. And the 12 days of Christmas is not the 12 days leading up to Christmas, as the song kind of assumes, or as we kind of assume the song means, but is in fact, the 12 days of Christmas Day and then the 11 days after. So, I've always liked leaving the tree up, a little bit extra. And then that flows into the season of Epiphany, which starts on, I think it's January 6th this year, or this coming year, technically. So much more, it makes more sense, right? And Epiphany is, if you're not familiar with it, that's when the Magi's visit to Jesus is commemorated. So, or when the three wise men, or the undetermined number of wise men bearing 3 gifts visit Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. So I think the Eastern traditions call it theophany.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some other stuff. I'm not sure. There's dates that are related to it, but maybe not celebrated in it. That about his circumcision and his other stuff like that. So I am not as familiar with the deep dive there, but yeah, Advent, Christmas. So Christmas technically hasn't started yet. That's December 25th.
Yes, sir.
So, how did your family celebrate Christmas then? Like, we had traditions of our own, of course, but did you guys do anything out of the norm?
Not really, man. I mean, it was pretty. I mean, to me, I think it's pretty textbook, man. I mean, we did gifts on Christmas Day. I mean, some people do it on Christmas Eve for some reason. I don't understand that. But I mean, we did gifts on Christmas morning, and then we had usually had a big meal in the afternoon, which was always turkey. I mean, but that was growing up, man. Like growing up, like that's what we did. Emily grew up with a really big family, and so like they celebrated Christmas for a week. Yeah, they had parties and meals and all sorts of stuff that whole time. But for us growing up, I mean that's all it was. And then I mean, when you get married, it becomes a little more complicated. You want to go spend some time with this family and some other time with this family and that kind of thing. But yeah, man, growing up, that's kind of like what it was. And so over the years, especially the last few years, and then I tried to be more intentional with things. And so we tried to have more focus on Advent and, doing that. And so like right now, like the small group that we have, we're going through like an Advent stay together. Every week we come together, we light the candles and talk about the meaning of the candles and the meaning of Advent and that kind of thing.
That's cool. Yeah, we have what they call the Jesse tree, which is a similar concept to an Advent calendar. And it goes back to the theme of this. I'm not sure exactly where it originated, but the theme of it is the root of Jesse, Jesus being the root of Jesse, the descendant of the line of David. So I really need to look it up.
I've never heard of it. I've never heard of a Jesse tree though. That's different.
Yeah, so it's basically like a series of ornaments. No, it's like a series of ornaments. Elf on the Shelf, that little demon.
Y'all do that?
No.
All right, that's good.
We do not do that. But yeah, Jesse tree. It's like there's different types you can do. Some have an actual little tree that you hang ornaments on, and my wife got together with a bunch of ladies like years and years ago, and they all designed an ornament and shared it. So it was like a communal activity as well. But it's the same concept of an Advent tree. You have a different ornament or a different thing for each day, and then you read a story or a passage of scripture or whatever that applies to it. So I think it starts at Adam and goes through all the major historical figures in the line of Jesse. So, but yeah, I'm curious as to where that started, because it does seem kind of like a budget Advent calendar, but it's pretty neat. We're a few days behind this year because life is a bit crazy at the moment, but it's one every day, same concept as that.
I completely forgot about this because you're asking me how my family celebrated Christmas.
Yeah.
We actually, one second. All right, cool. So, we did Santa was a big part of us growing up. Because I mentioned the gifts and like the meal and stuff, but I forgot about that. And so like in our household, like Santa played a really big role in Christmas. And so like that was a big thing leading up to stuff. And so like my parents would not put almost any of our gifts out until the middle of the night on Christmas Eve. And so like we would go to bed with nothing under the tree, and then when we got up, there was stuff there. And so like my parents had no problem lying to their kids. That's like one of the big things, right? It's like you don't tell kids about Santa because it's wrong to lie to your kids.
Yeah, I feel like that can be a little overblown, but
I think it's that reason alone, that's a little bit overblown. But like I remember this is actually kind of interesting, and like I look back on this and I kind of like laugh and smile about it. But one time like they kind of went like what I would call like all out, and so we didn't leave cookies, but we left pie out, and pie and milk, and it must have been one of the very few times it was cold in Austin, Texas for Christmas. Because like, my dad ate the pie and the milk. I'm assuming it was him, right? I doubt it was Sam. But like my dad had right. So my dad was a truck driver, so he had work boots, and we must have done a fire that winter because like apparently it was cold. And so what they did was they took his boots and put his boots in the ash from the fire, and then did footprints from the fireplace to the tree. Legit. And so like I'm like it's kind of hard to argue with that when you're 5 years old.
Yeah, so I'll probably catch some flack for this, but we actually do Santa in our house.
Oh, dude, I was trying to figure out if I was going to ask you.
Yeah. So I didn't grow up with Santa.
Right? Halfway pagan sissy baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, if it was solely up to me, we wouldn't have. But it's a really beloved part of my wife's childhood, and her parents still, do gifts under the tree from Santa to their, kids. So it's a big deal for them, and everyone knows he's not real at this point, right? You would hope. So one thing we do though is instead of leaving out like milk and cookies for Santa Claus, is we leave a cigar and whiskey for St. Nicholas.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this is something that we started a long time ago, and I've trying to propagate this to my friends on any of the meme pages or Facebook pages that I run. I put a message out, just FYI, Santa doesn't want milk and cookies. He wants a nice glass of whiskey and a cigar.
Yeah, I'm all about that, man.
Yeah.
I think Santa, like, when we think about everything he does in one night, how could that dude not want some whiskey and the finest cigar you can find?
And he's not picky about what type of whiskey it is. I mean, it could be a good Kentucky bourbon, could be a Texas single malt. You could go, Highland Scotch. He's a man of discerning taste. He's sharp as a tack theologically, and he has good taste in cigars and whiskey as well.
The goal is good whiskey and good cigars. It have to be expensive just has to be good. Expensive doesn't always equal good, and cheap doesn't always equal bad. It's just you want to have good.
Correct.
Dude, like I had some bourbon the other day. It was an $11 bottle. I will be buying that again. It was good stuff.
So was it good because it was good for being an $11 bottle, or was it just good?
Both.
Okay.
I think it could be both.
Okay.
I mean, if it had been $30 or $40, I would have been pleased. So I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool.
I've never bought I cannot afford $100 bottle of bourbon, so I'm not really sure what that looks like.
To me, like I prefer Scotch over bourbon.
Yeah.
So if I was going to spend $100 on a bottle, it would be Scotch, not bourbon. But
I think the finest
good ones too.
Scotch I've had is Johnny Walker Black Label, and that's usually like around I think maybe $60.
That's not bad. It's a nice smoky Scotch. I'm not really a snob when it comes to that sort of thing, so I enjoy lots of stuff.
And like I haven't developed a palate yet to be able to get snob about that stuff.
Have with cigars, but not with whiskey yet.
Like
whiskey,
I think
bourbon.
For like my palate when it comes to like alcohol and stuff, I know the difference between good and bad, but I'm not there where I can be a snob about the difference between good and great for good and excellent.
Yeah. So, you guys did turkey every year then?
Yes, you should.
Do you still do that with your? Do you still do turkey with your like? So how do you celebrate now? Do you split the time between like her family and yours?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
The truth comes out. So some of us live far away from our families and don't get to spend Christmas with their families, John.
So lucky.
So my family, we would open one gift on Christmas Eve, usually books or pajamas or something like that.
So why is that, man?
I don't know.
Is that because y'all were so annoyingly you're like, fine, you can open up one, but you have to listen next day?
I mean, that's entirely possible with knowing my siblings and myself, and I include myself in that. But I think it started more so when we were a little bit older, because I would get a series of books or something, and I would stay up until like 4 a.m. reading and get through like one or two of them by the next morning. Yeah. Or we do like pajamas or whatever, and you'd wear your new pajamas that night or something like that. So, but we had a lot of family in the area where I grew up. Well, a lot is a relative term. We had some, aunts and uncles and a couple grandparents, basically. So we would normally open our presents Christmas morning before we went over to somebody's house. So, or if we were hosting, then we would open the majority of our presents. So that way, when everyone came, like the aunts and uncles came, then it was just, the family gift exchange left, not our immediate family's gifts. So that's kind of how we did it. And then we usually did turkey as well.
I'm trying to start a thing where I do a brisket instead of turkey.
Do it, man. For Thanksgiving, we did a roast, which was amazing. And then we're doing carnitas for Christmas this year. Because, it's just us. Like, for this year, it's just us and the kids, so they're not eating turkey. Oh, ungrateful.
Seriously?
Well, ungrateful, picky, yeah. So we're doing what we want, which is a good pulled pork.
Man, I don't recall as a child ever being picky about eating meat. Anytime my parents put a piece of meat for me, I consume that stuff.
Yeah, well, one of my kids hates pizza, and won't eat pizza. And I'm like, are you sure that you're related to me?
That's probably a good thing in disguise, man.
Maybe. Well, it depends. But then my other one is like, my other kid is like, give me the pizza. Put it in my face.
And do they hate pizza because they're too busy eating a ribeye? Or do they hate the pizza because they want chicken fingers or fish sticks?
I think you know the answer to that.
It's a ribeye, right? Just lie and tell me it's a ribeye.
It's the ribeye. It's totally the ribeye. But it's choice grade from Kroger.
Oh.
It's not. It's not prime. So did your family have a date? Did your family have an actual date where you put up the tree, or was it different every year?
It was different every year, man. It just whatever happened, it happened. Sometimes it happens like the 23rd or something. It just depends.
Oh, seriously?
God, yeah.
It was either the first or like that first weekend in December for us all the time.
Yeah, it just depended, man. Sometimes we had a real tree, sometimes we had a fake tree. And so like, honestly, man, I think as me and my brother got older, the day closer to Christmas, they got closer to Christmas every year.
We have a fake tree now that's pre-lit. It's so nice.
Dude, that is the laziest
There's
American
no mess.
crap I've ever heard. Dude.
There's no stringing lights around the tree.
You should be going to cut down the tree yourself. And then like put it up.
Have you seen where I live?
Yeah, just drive the hour or two to like Greenville or Sherman or wherever it is.
That sounds terrible, honestly.
Or to
Have you not seen Christmas Vacation?
Stephenville.
Have you not seen Christmas Vacation? You know what happens with those trees.
I need to watch that movie.
Yeah. Okay, favorite Christmas movie?
This is where I become a traditionalist, man. And I don't care what anybody says, dude. Charlie Brown, Peanuts, Snoopy. Every year, dude. That's the best Christmas movie, TV show, whatever special you want to call it, man. But there's nothing better than that.
All right. I kind of like White Christmas. Bing Crosby.
Is that the one where they put on the show?
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Christmas movies that could...
Like, is that the one about the general?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like one of my dad's top 2 favorites, man.
Yeah, like I've got to... Like, that was not my first choice ever, but...
Where they sit in the train, it's like, boy, girl, boy. That was like, every single time they sit down together, you always like, call it like, girl, boy, girl. Oh, dude.
That's what you remember from it?
Yeah, that's kind of that, dude. That and the song with the general.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a good movie. It's kind of a classic, right? So I look halfway cultured if I say that I like that one. I do enjoy Elf. That's always fun.
That's Emily's favorite Christmas movie.
Have you seen the new Christmas movie with Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell? It's called Spirited.
No, it sounds awful. Just right now.
It's a riff on A Christmas Carol.
Oh, for
so the Dickens story. Yeah, so it's on Apple Plus, Apple TV Plus, or something like that.
You don't have to pay for Apple Plus to watch it.
I'm not sure. Comes free with a lot of stuff.
Is the comedy more Will Ferrell or more Ryan Reynolds?
I'd say it's both. Will Ferrell's pretty understated, and he's not over the top like he is in some stuff.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's a musical, right? So it's got singing, dancing, and stuff that makes your heart just leap.
Dude, I can't stand musicals, man.
Musicals.
Gosh, I hate musicals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, I can't stand them. When they all just bust out to match, and they bust out and magically know the song and the dance all together, and it just works.
Well, this one's funny because it's kind of like ironically a musical. Okay. So they talk about how they're doing tap. I don't know. It's a very expressive medium. It's like I've never done tap before. So there's some of those like kind of meta jokes in it, which are fun. But my wife and I liked it a lot. So
I mean, generally speaking, you're pretty solid when it comes to that kind of stuff, except for when it comes to fantasy crap. So, I mean, I might give it
a shot. It's pretty fun, I say. I think it's similar. If you like Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, you'll probably enjoy it. So it's kind of a fun.
I mean, each one of them has
it's not preachy. It's not preachy, and it's not like super woke. So
gotcha. Those are both bonuses. I wouldn't consider myself a fan of either one of those guys, but they each have a couple movies that I enjoy. So,
yeah.
So yeah, I'll go check it out, man. If I don't have to pay for Apple Plus, then I'll give it a shot.
I'm not sure. We have like the bundle or whatever for music and stuff like that, but I know you use Spotify for stuff, right? Yep. So here's a question: do you have a favorite Christmas gift, like one that you received that is your absolute favorite?
I actually do, man. This was about it feels like it might have been maybe 5 years ago. I don't know, dude. My understanding of time has gone to crap over the years, but maybe 5 years ago. Man, dude, maybe longer. I don't know. But anyways, for Christmas, my younger brother, gifted himself, me and my dad, a trip down to the Gulf of Mexico duck hunting for like 3 days.
Nice.
That was freaking awesome. And so, like the day after Christmas, I think we drove down to the coast and got a hotel room, and then we had a guide who took us duck hunting for like 2 or 3 days, and that was really cool, man. That was not only was it cool, but like that was probably like the most success I've ever had with like hunting or anything like that, man. As far as I'm concerned, the most exciting hunting is duck hunting. That's a blast, man.
Did you get anything?
Yeah, dude, we got a lot. I
You're
think
like,
we all got like, I think we all got a limit. It was cool,
Got
man.
what,
It was
you
delicious.
said?
We each got our limits.
Okay.
You're limited on how many ducks you can hunt.
I thought you said 11, and I'm like, you got 11? Is that like the limit?
And I don't remember how many it was. I don't remember what the limit is or was back then. But it was a success, man. And they were delicious as well.
Sorry, I'm just telling the dog to sit down.
Yeah, you're good.
That's
That
that's our dog.
was really cool. This is not, but no, never mind. Yeah, it doesn't apply here at all. But yeah, that was probably the best gift. Yeah, no question about it. What about you?
I don't know. I was thinking about it, and I can't really nail one down. Gift that I received. I don't know. I know it's kind of lame, but one year it was along the same lines as my dad, brother, and I. It was gifted to him, and he shared it with us. We got to do basically a luxury car tour. So we got to drive up in Vancouver on the Sea to Sky Highway, which is the highway that leads from like the Vancouver Harbor or one of the bays there, basically. It leads from there up to Whistler and past Whistler, but that's the major destination. So we actually got to drive these these hypercars and supercars on this beautiful like mountain highway and go slightly fast. You weren't supposed to, but they knew it was going to happen. So they gave you the disclaimer like, okay, if you get pulled over, and you're going a certain amount over, then you lose your license, right? So they gave us the whole spiel. There was a Ferrari. I'm not remembering all of them. At least I'm remembering the makes, but not the models. A Lamborghini. I think it was the Aventador. There was a Nissan GTR. I think it was a 2016. So I think we did this in 2016 or 2017 because it was one of the newest models. And then there was a Porsche of some type. So, and they had a few other vehicles in the fleet as well, but those were the 4 that we kind of rotated through. So, and man, that was fun.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they are fast cars. So, super cool. A lot of fun, and it was nice of my dad to kind of share that with us. So
that's legit.
Because he could have driven all of them, and but we got to spend some time, and so it's fun stuff. Yeah. So we covered Christmas movies. How about what's your favorite Christmas carol? Like, what's your favorite song that's sung around this time of year?
Anything by Mariah Carey.
Naturally, that's what I was too.
Dude, I don't really have one, man. Which is kind of weird. Um, I don't mean I don't recall us having a lot of Christmas carols and stuff playing in the background growing up. Um, but I did learn about a new song that I think might become my favorite, and it's all I want for Christmas is an AK-47.
Man, I could go for that too.
It's by a group called the Dropkick Murphys.
Are they not? Aren't they a Canadian?
There's something for them, man. Canadian, Irish, something like that.
Oh, they're probably Irish. No.
It
They're
sounds
from
very.
Massachusetts. They're
That's what
from
I'm saying.
Massachusetts.
Like it sounds very American.
But they're an American Celtic punk band.
That's probably where I get the Irish vibe from them.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, man. All I want for Christmas is an AK-47, which is true in a sense. I would love an AK-47 for Christmas.
That'd be sweet. I built an AR-15 for Christmas one year. Well,
Dude,
it was around Christmas.
I was gonna say that could have been your gift, man.
It's pretty cool. Like I really enjoy it. It shoots well, so.
Nice.
I think my favorite carol, like when we sing in church, would be "Hark the Herald Angels Sing."
Yeah.
Just I like the tune. Lyrics are good. So yeah, there's some Christmas songs we sing that aren't really Christmas songs, like "Joy to the World." It's more of I think it's "Joy to the World." It's more of a not really a Christmas song, but more of like a Second Coming song. But yeah, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing," really, really, really cool. I love this time of year so much. So you don't really do Christmas music then?
I'm not against it, man. Like I don't hate it. I don't get mad when people start playing Christmas music before Halloween.
So
it just wasn't like a big part of like growing up.
we always had music on at the house. So, what I need to introduce you to some new Christmas albums though that you can play to get yourself in the Christmas spirit.
Anything you got on Spotify, I'm all about
it. Okay, should be on Spotify. So there are two.
Especially if you have any, you got any Christmas metal music, that'd be cool.
I don't. I mean, you've heard of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That's pretty mainstream. Not exactly metal, but...
You were going to say something about Michael W. Smith?
Yeah, so there's two albums of his that I really love that are both Christmas albums. One is called Christmas Time, one word. He released that in 1988. And the other is It's a Wonderful Christmas, which he released in 2007. They're both very, like, they've got lots of different types of music in them. But they have some very nice arrangements and some very Christmassy songs. So when I think about Christmas music, that is kind of the type that comes to mind. So I'll shoot you some Spotify links if I think about it later. And then there's also the band Down Here, which is a Canadian CCM band. They're not together anymore, but they released several albums, and then their lead singer Mark Martel is still doing Christmas music, and they have a song called "How Many Kings," which is a pretty cool modern kind of carol, so to speak. So there's lots of cool stuff. Nice, of course, David Phelps. Are you familiar with David Phelps?
No.
So he was part of the Gaither vocal band for years and years.
Oh, okay.
And then he had a solo career for a while, and then I think he went back to the Gaithers at some point. I'm not sure if he's still with them or not. But he spent a lot of time with them. He's got an amazing tenor voice, super high range. He was, I think he went to Baylor, if I'm not mistaken. And, very, very educated in music. Fantastic voice. And he's got a couple of really, really cool Christmas albums. So One's called Joy Joy, and the other is... I need to look it up now. Oh, there's always Josh Groban too. Your boy Josh Groban.
Is that why do you say that?
Well, I know that's just your style, that easy listening, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the thing is there's like almost every artist is going to release a Christmas album, and unless they're terrible at it, it's usually pretty decent, right? Especially if you like the artist already, it's like, oh, let's play on the nostalgia buttons, you know, and you know, get this going.
Well, like especially if you're doing remakes of like a lot of the old school traditional songs. Correct me if I'm wrong, man, because you're more musically educated than I am. Most of those songs are written and designed for anybody to be able to sing them fairly well. And so, like, if you're doing like a lot of old music and remakes of that, it should be pretty easy, right?
Yeah. The thing is most people know a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
So a lot of them have just been covered to death, you know. You've got some people like Mariah Carey who, you know, it's a travesty whenever they touch a Christmas song. And then others, you know. But it's hard if you're a halfway decent artist, it's pretty hard to mess up a Christmas album. So there is one hilarious song. It is, I think it was by Carrie Underwood and John Legend.
Oh, seriously?
It's several years old. It's called Hallelujah. And if you listen to it, you know, like the music video is beautiful, and he's playing the piano and she's singing in a long dress, you know. But if you listen to it, it's just like Christmas terminology word salad. Like, it's hilarious. It's a very pretty song. There's basically zero substance in it.
But it's got a billion views on YouTube.
Yeah, it is. It's 10 million views. So yeah, it's a nice music video, but when you actually listen carefully to the lyrics, it's just Christmas word salad, which I think is hilarious.
Dude, that's funny, man. See that? I want to go check that out because that's just awesome.
Yeah, because it's just designed to. It's designed to you know, pluck on your Christmas flavored heartstrings and, you know, get you going. Yeah, it's hilarious. We still play it occasionally. Like, it still comes up in the playlist, you know.
Well, because like you know, it's easy on the ears.
For sure it is.
Yeah.
You know, she's got a great voice. Like, he's got a great voice.
Both of those people are like insanely like talented and gifted.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'd say for like my two favorite albums of this time of year, for just kind of having on the background, it'd be those two Michael W. Smith ones. So just because they're not incredibly bombastic in every sense. A lot of choirs, a lot of, you know, violins, and very atmospheric in a way. So yeah, definitely enjoy it. I just love this time of year. Like, I love the music. I love the, I don't know. It's hard to put into words, really.
I'd go with the Peanuts Christmas album.
A man of culture, I see.
Culture and tradition, right? That's exactly what I am, man. Culture and tradition. That's exactly it.
I was listening to a podcast about G.K. Chesterton today, and they were talking about tradition is the democracy of the dead, because the dead get a voice, the dead get a vote. It's very like on how we conduct ourselves, how we do church, how we live. if you're borrowing from tradition, then you're giving the dead a vote. It's very interesting.
We should probably do an episode on that, man, because I've got mixed feelings about tradition. Definitely have mixed feelings about it. And so we should probably do an episode about that sometime.
Mm.
Because there's a part of the culture, right, that wants to do tradition just for tradition's sake. And that's always driven me insane, man.
Well, I think you can look to the we can cover this in other episodes, but you can look to the Reformation, the magisterial Reformation or the conservative Reformation, which in a Lutheran perspective would be basically exclusively Lutherans. Reformed would of course include at least Calvin, maybe not Zwingli, but some depending on your stripe of Reformed. But the idea there, especially with the Lutheran reformers, they didn't want to leave the Catholic Church. They didn't throw away tradition for tradition's sake. You've got the radical reformers, the Anabaptists, who their spirit was not of Reformation, but of revolution. So if you contrast the French Revolution with the American Revolution, they both were in essence, a revolution. However, the American Revolution wasn't concerned about overthrowing every aspect of the past, whereas the French Revolution was, burn it all down. We don't need any of it. So, and the point of the Lutherans, especially in the context of the church service or the liturgy, the point was to get rid of those things that were unbiblical. Meaning like worship of the saints, or functional worship of the saints, even if it wasn't intended to be worship of the saints, as well as a bunch of other things. But they retained the structure and the things that were useful, and theologically correct. So that's the claim anyway, right? From Lutherans.
No, yeah, most of that, I think I have a hard time believing most people, even outside of Lutheranism, would disagree with probably any of that for the most part.
Well, so Roman Catholics, depending on the type of Roman Catholic you're speaking to, Luther is either the devil incarnate, or or just a terrible human being, right?
Yeah,
he was either an idiot or he was a evil genius, maybe both at the same time to some people.
Yeah.
So, but he really, he and the other Lutheran reformers were not interested in departing from the church. They were not interested in departing from tradition unless it was contradicting scripture. So, but yeah. But I think that's kind of a good guiding principle is the tradition profitable? Is it consistent with scripture? Is it helpful? I mean, there are a number of questions you could ask about it that would determine whether or not you receive all of it, receive some of it, throw some of it away.
I also think it's there's nothing wrong with asking, is there something we can do better? I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with asking that. And if you're somebody who is really you have to plant your boots and stand firm in tradition, then the idea of considering the idea of can we do something better than those before us is something that you might have a huge problem with.
Yeah. I think a lot of what we think is better is not. That's the issue. I
mean, I wouldn't say a lot, but a good chunk of it, is not inherent. It's not going to be better just because something's new doesn't make it better. But just because something is old doesn't inherently make it correct at the same time. And I also say this as somebody who has been spending time going back into history and wanting to pick up a lot of the old practices that have been forgotten. Because I think there's a lot of value in those. But at the same time, I don't want to be a person who just says because something's new it's wrong.
Yeah, well, if you are not allowed to question why you're doing something, then that's probably an unhealthy attitude toward tradition.
Yeah.
Right. So, but if something should withhold or stand up to scrutiny, right? So like the liturgy, for example, like you should be able to poke at it and say, why are we doing this? Oh,
Yeah.
to make disciples. We're not doing this just because the church has done that. But we can see the modern American church, in the general sense, they've pretty much disregarded all of that.
Yes.
So, sorry, that freaked me out.
Hey, man, when you gotta sneeze, man, you gotta sneeze.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had like some sort of hair in my mouth, and I'm like, what the heck? Trying to get it out. I'm like trying to be, unobtrusive. I'm like, oh, they're looking at it, whatever.
Yeah, I kind of forgot why we were talking about this.
We got on it because I think I mentioned G.K. Chesterton talking about tradition being the democracy of the dead. That guy was a freaking genius. It was one of the episodes from the Gottesdienst crowd. It's a German name for I'll send you a link on it.
Okay, cool. Because there's no way I'm gonna be able to spell it.
No, I can't. I'm picturing it in my head, and I'm gonna mess it up. But yeah, I can shoot it to you. I'm not sure if they're on Spotify, but I can send you their actual website link.
I started reading his Yeah, dude. I mean, there's at one point, man, for a while there, I was like, I'm gonna go all in on Apple stuff, and now I'm not gonna do that. I'm about to go pretty soon. I'm gonna go full Linux on all my stuff. But I've got G.K. Chesterton's book Orthodoxy back here, and I got about halfway through. I need to finish it because he was a solid dude. He was a solid dude.
It was a really interesting episode. I haven't finished it yet, but basically they were talking about because I think what's her name, the new prime minister of Italy, is it Giorgia Meloni or something like that? Meloni. Yeah. She quoted a fantastic quote from Chesterton, and he is immensely quotable. But then, as they call out on the podcast, they're like, well, you go and you look up the source of this quote, and you're like, the entire book is good, the entire paragraph and chapter and all this stuff, So he's really
him and C.S. Lewis would have done really well with Twitter.
Yes. Yes. Well, so he wasn't exactly a contemporary of them.
Yeah.
But he predated them a little bit. I think as far as I know, he did have some interaction with them. But he died, I believe, in 1936. So yeah, let me send this to you here.
Well, him and I think Spurgeon interacted a little bit, if I'm correct.
Oh, I'm sure he was nothing but kind to Spurgeon. But yeah, they mentioned a few other, George Bernard Shaw was around that same time, and he and Chesterton corresponded. I think it's H.G. Wells as well. So yeah, he was and for anyone that's interested, we can include a link in the description of this episode, of the episode in this episode that we're talking about, since that's super clear. So yeah, one of the things that I asked for this Christmas, I'm like, is anything by Tolkien, Lewis, or Chesterton. I've got a bit of a Tolkien theme in my office, so I'm a big fan of Tolkien's work. I've read a good chunk of Lewis's stuff, all of his fiction, and several of his his nonfiction stuff as well. So, and then Tolkien, I read a ton of his stuff in college, or in high school, really, mostly high school. I think just about everything he wrote, I read. But Chesterton was just crazy prolific, because he had essay upon essay and books and, so much stuff. Yeah, it's a good episode. I forget how we got on that.
I keep trying to figure that out because a lot it was in reference to that podcast you listened to, but how we got on the reference to that podcast, I have no idea.
Yeah, probably Christmas traditions and stuff.
Probably. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. So, what cigar and whiskey are you leaving out for St. Nick this year?
I think I'll probably leave on a Southern Draw cigar. I think that just kind of fits naturally. It's maybe a little cliche or stereotypical, but a cigar that was wrapped to the glory of God, I think makes sense to leave out for Christmas.
So you wouldn't be reformed without smoking Southern Draw, right?
They're good cigars, though, man.
They are good, which is what's hilarious. Are you still a member of that Facebook group?
Yeah, I actually do. Through that group, I got connected to a church planter in like South America or something, and he actually, I believe he rolls cigars to raise money for the church plant, and I'm supposed awesome. to buy a pack of 20, I think, from him, and they're all dedicated like to Spurgeon, which is pretty awesome, pretty freaking cool.
That's cool.
And so he does 10 Connecticut's and 10 Maduro cigars, and like I think they're fairly decently priced. I mean, it goes to like something I believe in too, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, no, I left there because I forget why. I think it was at the time I was trying to distance myself from any like type of online arguing about woke stuff or whatever. And there was this big argument brewing in that. I mean, I don't know how long it lasted, if it lasted longer than a post and some comments, but I was like, you know what? Because I'd already made fun of them all for smoking Southern Draw like exclusively, because they're like, it says Soli Deo Gloria on it. Gotta smoke this one. I'm like, you guys realize like these are good cigars. Yes, no one's gonna argue that. I have probably 15 Southern Draw cigars in my humidors right now. But so no one's like complaining that you're smoking them, but you do realize there are other ones you can smoke, right?
Dude, that's funny, man. Like, I know whenever I go to a lounge and I buy just a one-off cigar, them and I think Oliva are usually what I go for, because I've never had one that I was disappointed by, and they are almost always rolled, in my opinion, like perfectly. Them and then like, well, there's other ones that are also really awesome, but like, I'm not going to spend like $25 on.
Have you had much from Foundation Cigar Company?
I've had a couple, man. I had one. I can't remember the name of it. I did not like. I think it was in Connecticut. And I think at that time, back then, I hated Connecticut's. Now, actually, I see there's a time and place for them. But for a while there, I couldn't stand them. And I think the one I got from them was like, back then I hated it. And they kind of like gave me a bad taste in my mouth, so to speak, for their stuff.
Because the guy who runs Foundation, it was the head like blender at Drew Estate.
Oh, nice.
For years. So
I assume their stuff is good.
Yeah. Well, if you like, but maybe you're not as familiar with Drew Estate stuff, since you're smoking Southern Draw all the time. So, but yeah, Drew Estate, like the Legal line, the Undercrown lines are both really well known and really good. And he had a hand in at least a few of those. So
I spoke a lot of CAOs too.
Yeah, so do I. So do I. Merry Christmas to us.
All right.
Well, so it's for me the CAO Brasilia and the Southern Draw Jacob's Ladder are pretty special, because I after my sister passed away, the Southern Draw Jacob's Ladder was the first one that I smoked. And in kind of a memorial to her, right?
Yeah.
I put some meaning into it. And then the CAO Brasilia is one that I smoked with my brother after my sister's funeral. So both of those I make sure to keep, at least a couple. I've got a whole like 20 pack of Brazilias right now. And I've got one Southern Draw Jacob's Ladder in there. So
See, if I was going to make a top 10, those would both be in my top 10. Maybe even my top 5.
Yeah, I feel like Brasilia is a solid one. It's not amazing in my opinion, but it's very solid.
That was one of the first cigars that I smoked that I specifically remember like genuinely enjoying.
Yeah.
And anything I've had from them has always been pretty solid to begin with.
Yeah, I'd say most of their stuff is pretty good. Some of it's like mass market, mass produced. But it's a solid brand, I think, overall. I really do enjoy the shoot, what is their line?
So while you're thinking of that, and we're talking about this, the Island Gem cigar, which I think is from Oscar, dang it, man.
Valdez or something like that?
Yeah, there you go. I was going to say Oscar Roberts, but that's a basketball player. Island Gem is one of my favorites, man.
So it's the Flathead line, CAO Flathead.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's a number of different blends and different sizes. But yeah, it's the Flathead. They've got those are really solid usually. But they're very, there's a lot of dessert flavors in that line. So dark, smoky, chocolate, coffee, roasted coffee, leather, that sort of thing. So they can be very, very enjoyable. I love how this is a cigar episode now.
I know, right? Have you had any of, I think it's a room, is it a 501?
Room 101?
Is it 101? Yeah, 101, my bad. Yeah, have you had any of their stuff?
Not in a long time. I have. I think I've had almost everything I've had something from almost every brand. I haven't had everything from each brand, but I've had, a lot of different stuff. It's been a long time, though.
One of the lounges that I go to, they started carrying a lot of their stuff recently.
Have you had much from Espinosa?
Yeah, yes, yeah. Not a whole lot, but the cremas, I enjoy the crema.
Yeah, that's a very nice
crema.
Morning cigar.
Well, like, dude, the smoke on that is phenomenal, man. It actually looks creamy. It's so good. Is it too late to go have a cigar outside?
Well, I'm like fighting like a cold, so I'm not gonna have one until I'm better. But
that'll probably cure your cold.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I've been enjoying Crux cigars lately too.
Yeah. Christoph is also a brand that's pretty good.
Yes.
I've got several of them right now. I have a lot.
I've actually got 4 Southern Draw cigars in my humidor that supposedly will be released next year. I need to smoke them now so I can actually feel special.
I just got a nice Southern Draw barber pole that I'm looking forward to trying. So, yeah. But yeah, so I'm probably leaving...
Oh, yeah.
What am I leaving out for St. Nick this year?
Dude, it's got to be a Southern Draw, man.
I'm probably going to do... Like, the whiskey will probably be a Glenlivet, because I have some Glenlivet scotch on hand. And I don't like to do... Because, I don't really drink much late at night. So I might have, like, a cocktail on the weekends, like, around dinner time or something like that. Or maybe some scotch, some neat scotch or on the rocks or whatever. But last time Kendall poured the whiskey for St. Nick, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a full, like, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, I need 2 fingers. I need like, and 2 fingers like this, not like this. So, I ended up like wasting half of it because I wasn't going to chug that amount because we put the presents out in the middle of the night as well. So it's like 2 a.m. We'll put the presents out.
All right. Because I never actually finished answering the question. So, Southern Draw cigar, right?
Yep.
We're celebrating the birth of Christ, so we'll do that to the glory of God. And then we'll do maybe a double pour of Elijah Craig bourbon whiskey, which is named after the American Baptist preacher. So like we're gonna double up, man.
Nice. Which I think actually Southern Draw. I don't believe they're actually a reformed company. Like, but they're evangelical, I believe.
They can't be. They can't be evangelical and smoke cigars.
You'd be surprised.
For the sake of the conversation, you can actually. You can. Maybe so, man. Maybe so. You know they're out of Austin, right?
I see them in Florida a lot.
Well, like they're actually based out of Austin. I wonder if they give tours. That'd be kind of cool. So do you have a favorite Christmas cocktail?
Favorite Christmas cocktail? There's one that's certainly up there. I do enjoy a good mule, so it's nice to have I think probably a vodka mule of some type. So that'd be there's the Kentucky Mule, right, which is whiskey or bourbon. I forget what the vodka mule is actually officially called, but you can dress that up, with Christmas garnishes and stuff. Moscow Mule. There we go. Drawing a blank.
I didn't know that's what you were trying to say.
Yeah, Moscow Mule. I'm like, Russian Mule. I'm like, no, that's not it. That sounds like a drug dealer. So, I do like a good mule, regardless of origin. But one of my favorite like sweet drinks it's called an Angry Balls.
Is that really appropriate content for this podcast?
Yes. So the original recipe is an Angry Orchard cider and a shot of Fireball. So you can, and it's like drinking cold cinnamon cider, right?
Do you actually like Fireball?
No, not really.
Okay.
Because you can. I would recommend switching it out with a Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire.
Okay.
Because Fireball is actually not whiskey.
Yeah, it's crap.
Yeah, it's not whiskey. You can buy it in the grocery store in Texas. And in Texas, you can't buy liquor in a grocery store, but you can buy Fireball. So that tells you all you need to know. Yeah. So basically, that's the concept. It was a shot of cinnamon whiskey and a bottle of cider. Those are the basic measurements. There is one called a sinful mimosa, which is basically the same sort of thing. It's hard cider.
Mimosas sinful?
No, this is CINNFUL.
Oh,
so it's hard cider, cinnamon whiskey, and champagne, and that's for the morning. Because you have the champagne, and that makes it a morning drink. So, but those are both very nice. Like, it brings to mind like the hot apple cider in the crock pot. That you're drinking at a Christmas function or something like that.
Dude, if you want a nice touching moment, the first mimosa I ever had was at your apartment with you and Kendall when England and I came over for brunch once.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm sorry.
I had my first French press of coffee there too.
Oh yeah, you're welcome for that. Oh, that French press actually broke. It's sad.
Dude, how long did it last, man?
It lasted for years, honestly.
Dude, every French press of me breaks after about 3 years.
Oh, really?
As I'm using it.
Yeah. We bought a Ninja coffee maker for when we moved into our new place.
Yeah.
So, because we were buying iced coffee, because French pressing takes a while, so we were kind of running out of time in the mornings to actually have decent coffee. So we were buying iced coffee just for convenience sake, And we're like, wow, we're spending a lot of money on this. Like, we're not drinking at Starbucks every day, but we're still, so we said, all right, let's get an actual coffee maker that we can use to create, and for this one, you can do pots, half pots, you can do cups, different size mugs. It's really nice. So
I don't know if you're talking about the same one, but I've had my eye on a coffee maker from one of the Ninja coffee makers. For a while.
I'll shoot you a link of what we got. It might be the same or might be different.
Yeah, because the one I've been looking at is like $130. If I had to choose a Christmas cocktail, man, it might be the one I've been sipping on throughout this podcast.
I was going to ask about that.
It's some type of old fashioned, but it's a bourbon with maple syrup, some lemon juice, and brown sugar. But we had bourbon barrel aged maple syrup in the house, so we used a little bit of that, which I think was the best touch.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really want a Christmas mule now.
Dude, man, I'm gonna light a cigar after we get done with this, dude.
Do it.
I don't gotta drop kids off at school tomorrow, man, so I'm gonna
shut up. No, I mean, hey man, live it up, right? Live it up. I encourage you to do that. Yeah. No, I used to be a night owl. I used to stay up all night, sleep in.
Dude, I'm trying not to be, kind of. It's just, I hate going to bed, man. I hate going to bed, dude. I can't do what I used to do, which is like run out for 5 hours of sleep. I miss that. And so, like, it's hard for me to, I like staying up so late, man. I like getting up early, too. But I hate going to sleep, so, like, getting up early is never happening. But, like, I like staying up to, like, 12, 1, 2 o'clock. I don't like sleeping, man.
I love sleeping.
That hasn't changed. I hate it less. But I still hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we covered all the festive topics that we had up there.
For the most part, we had a couple curveballs, which is fun.
Yeah.
Let's see. I can't think of any of this. I mean, turkey's better than ham. That's obvious.
So, are you doing brisket though for Christmas this year?
If I can, no, I'm not. I might do one maybe like around Christmas, maybe, but not on Christmas. Maybe around Christmas. I've got one in the freezer. I need to hurry up and smoke.
We're gonna do carnitas. We have a really good recipe for that. So, I'm excited.
I don't understand why your kids are like turkey though, dude. That's so weird.
I mean,
are you not putting gravy on it? Are you not putting gravy on it?
No, we do gravy.
See, I don't get it, man.
Dude, kids are picky. Some kids are weird and picky.
Because, dude, like, even when I was a kid, man, I never ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich until I was like 26.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always had roast beef, dude.
I'm pretty sure that my wife, for a period of her childhood, she lived on peanut butter and jelly, and like only peanut butter and jelly.
You see, the funny thing is when I say that, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, he's rich. No, dude, shut up. Peanut butter and jelly is just stupid. Like, why would you want a sugar sandwich when you can have like some red meat?
My prime roast beef sandwich with au jus and French onion dip.
No, dude,
I'm eating my roast beef sandwich now. Thank you, Mother.
Oh, man, dude. All right, yeah, I think we've covered it all. Maybe we'll have a cigar.
Sweet. Dude, do it. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. If you got this far, we appreciate it.
All right.
Don't forget to like the video, share it if you think someone will like it. The cigar groups may enjoy this one. Until next time, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you his peace. Merry Christmas.